Shana tova metukah. So I heard the most beautiful teaching about apples and honey, and I wanted to share it with you so that you could give it over at your Rosh Hashana table also. So the question is very simple. Why apples and why honey, right? Every year, maybe we take it for granted, like, why not peaches? Why not a different form of sweetener? So I learned the following from Rav Yehuda Solomon and Rav David Sachs. So, why apples? So apple, the word for apple in Hebrew is tapuah. And tapuah is the exact same letters. In fact, it's the exact same word as the Hebrew word patuach, which means open, or poteach, liftoach, to open, right? So the whole idea of Rosh Hashanah is that we're supplicating, we're praying, we're opening our hearts before Hashem in the most real, vulnerable way. And why? Because we want to open the gates of heaven for all the most beautiful blessings to channel down. So there's tapuach, there's apple. Isn't that amazing? So now also the one for honey is mind-blowing. There's a few lessons that we can learn out from here. So mostly they come from this idea of where does honey come from? Well, honey comes from a bee, and a bee is actually it's an unkosher animal. So here we are taking a kosher product from a not kosher animal. It doesn't make sense. We can't actually even understand it. And that's part of the second lesson, right? That we take this apples, lesson 1, to open our hearts, to truly open our hearts and to open the gates of heaven to what? To things that we can't even understand. We can't even explain. Don't make sense to us. And yet Hashem is like, you don't have to worry about that. I'm God. I'm Hakol Yachol. I could do anything. And the second aspect of the fact that we have dvash, and that dvash comes from a bee, is that actually scientists explain that there is no logical reason that bees should be able to fly. In fact, their bodies are too heavy and too big for their tiny little wings. So scientifically, it actually makes no sense. It's actually impossible that a bee should fly. So Rav David Sachs calls honey the fruit of the impossible. And so we take our apples, this prayer to open our hearts and to open the gates of heaven, and we dip it in our dvash, this thing that we can't explain, that we can't understand, this thing that seems too heavy, seems impossible, and yet we dip it in that, because with Hashem HaKol Yachol, anything is possible. Even the things we don't understand, the things we can't even imagine that there would be a solution to, Hashem can make a new solution out of nowhere. So, on this Rosh Hashanah, Hashem, help us now know that it's not just because we want a sweet new year. We do want a sweet new year. That's, people say, oh, apples and honey because it's sweet. Yes, it's true. But what should be sweet? This idea that the things that we don't even understand and we don't even think are possible could be revealed before us in the sweetest way. Can you hear it, son? Shana tova metukah.